Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I am super excited about my guest today, Gayle Gruenberg. And I am probably one of the most disorganized people in the world, and she is probably one of the most organized people in the world. So this is going to be awesome. Gayle and I met a while ago, and we've just been talking, and she's pretty awesome. So I'm excited to bring her on. However, first, click like, share, subscribe, review, do all the things. The more reviews you leave, the more comments you leave, it helps us move up in the algorithm. So just give us some love. All right, so without further ado, let's meet Gayle. Hey there.
Hi, thanks for having me. I so love talking to you, and I was so looking forward to our chat.
Well, me too. And it's funny because, so Gayle is in Jersey, and I'm from New York. And right before we went on, I've been in meetings like back to back to back all day, and I realized I haven't eaten. So in my local supermarket, they sell these mini black and white cookies that they're not as good as New York, but it's the closest I'm going to get here. So I had a black and white cookie before we started, just to set the the East Coast tone. So it's funny because when Gayle and I first, started talking, and she, talked about her business, we had a woman here who was an organizer, and at the time, I couldn't afford her services. Now I can afford her services, but now Gayle's in Jersey, so that's another story. She can help you long distance too, but we're going to get into all that. But I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here.
I love talking to you as well. So, well, I guess, let's start. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I don't even know where to start, but hey, hi everybody. I'm Gayle Gruenberg. I'm a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization. My company is called Let's Get Organized, based in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And I've been doing this not quite 22 years. It is the best career I could ever have chosen because I get to work with the best people.
You do. And you don't just do like organization, you also kind of help in like divorces. I guess there was a one of your clients, her husband had like a bunch of collectibles, and you had to figure that stuff out. So talk about that, because I thought that was like really cool.
Oh, it's so kind of you to actually bring that up, because I've spent all of today working on that kind of a project and to market out to other attorneys and divorce professionals, that kind of a service.
Cool.
So yeah, it's been fun. So that particular project that we had, it was, okay, we were called in by attorneys because there was this couple who are divorcing. And she's a doctor, and he's a very talented illustrator. He had this huge collection of sports memorabilia and comics collectibles that had to get found, categorized, cataloged, sorted out, documented, put into a database so that they could value it for equitable distribution.
Wow.
And it took us like 4 months to get this project done.
That's crazy. And you don't think about that stuff, right? It's like you kind of like, I never would have, my wife collects a lot, and we're not getting divorced, so I'm not worried about that. But, she has like collectibles. I have collectibles, and I would never have thought of like valuating a collectible, like in a, that's just so crazy. And how did that come about? Like how did because that's just, to me, that's like so, oh, that's probably better. To me, that's so just outside the box. I would never think about that, and I don't know how many people would.
Well, we actually, I will call it great luck because we were referred to the attorneys. I think we were referred to her attorney. They each had one. So he has an attorney and she has an attorney. So we were referred to her attorney by another family law attorney who I knew from a networking group and who had been a client. So her attorney turned to the lady that I had worked with and said, I don't know what to do. We've called in other professionals. They can't do it. They walk out. They're like, this is too much for me. So I'll call her my friend, my friend, the other divorce attorney, friend/client, said, try her because she helped me move and you never know. So I went, I evaluated the project and I thought, yeah, we can do this. There's nothing we can't do and we'll just figure out the resources we need and just keep at it until we get it done. So I was very, very grateful to her, my friend, for even thinking of me.
Yeah.
Because it turned into an awesome and rather educational project.
Oh, I'll bet. I mean, especially with I'll bet you know more about collectibles than you ever thought you would.
Especially the sports stuff.
Oh, sports stuff is nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in Indiana and I am an Indiana Fever fan. So Caitlin Clark and, the New York team is the New York Liberty and there's Stewie and Sabrina Ionesco. There's a whole bunch of, women's, basketball players that are just phenomenal. And here, of course, there's Caitlin Clark, and everybody knows about Caitlin Clark. You might not, but if you're into any kind of sports, you'll know about Caitlin Clark, who's just a superstar who has been sidelined all year due to an injury. So she didn't play probably 3/4 of the year. The last game is next week and we're going, and I'm hoping that she's well enough to play, but she's still filling stadiums even though she's not playing.
Oh, wow.
And we had there was a rookie card that was on eBay that I think when she first started, it was $15 and now it's probably $5,000. So it's amazing how the value of something goes up. And my wife, like I said, she's a collectible. She collects all of this stuff. And we get to the games early and we get our stuff signed and there's pictures so that people know that it's authentic. And, so it's a whole thing. So The fact that now you've been exposed to that, welcome to my world.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Kofi does that too, actually. He works with collectibles.
Oh, does he? It's such a whole new body of knowledge. But the more I delve into it, the more my chiropractor's husband collects comic books and your wife has collectibles and this one and that one. It's wow, this is a real whole world that we've tapped into.
Yeah. And I really believe that it got, or it peaked or not peaked. What's the word I'm looking for? I believe it became more prevalent during COVID because what happened was people were sitting home. And they had nothing to do. So that's how my wife really got back into it. She was always into it, she would go to, she's a big Steelers fan, this year is another story, but, she's a big Steelers fan. So she would go to any of the signings that they had in Pittsburgh or, whatever and get and she has some of the oldest, people's, signatures or autographs, signatures. And I guess during COVID, she got on Twitter, because now it's X, and that's another story, but Twitter, when it was good. And she found this community of, people who were into collectibles.
Wow.
And, she's such the antithesis of me because everybody loves her. And I'm not saying that people don't like me. Of course, people like me, but people love my wife. And my friends are yeah, we're keeping her in the divorce.
God forbid.
Which is all good. But it's funny because, she has such a big heart. And if somebody was having a hard time, she'd send them $20 through Venmo or something or, whatever, right? So then they would send her cards. and
Oh
say,
wow.
hey, as a thank you, and then she would start supporting these people that were artists that did renditions of cards and sports figures and TV stars and movie stars and whatever. So she would support them by buying their stuff, and then they would just send her like a shit ton of extra stuff, like, "Oh my God, thank you for supporting us." So she's like so well known and liked. It's like ridiculous. And they're like, "And you married her?" Okay, what were you thinking?
Hopefully, we don't have to do your equitable distribution.
No, I don't. I don't think so. It's so funny because I say, I don't know what I did in my life that was so good that it got me to deserve her. And whatever it was, I'm glad I did it because she's my person, and she is the best person that I know.
Like two hearts that beat as one.
Oh yeah, she's just, and we always kind of laugh and say, nobody would match our crazy. So
thank God you found each other.
I mean, seriously, or we'd be like, I don't know where we'd be right now.
My rabbi says that finding the right person in your life is equally as hard as splitting the Red Sea.
Ooh, I like that. And it's he's not wrong. It's funny because the minute that we met, and it's like a long story, and it's not a very pretty story, but I knew, like when we talked, there was like this whole thing, but I mean, I knew, and we were long distance for 3 years, and my friends were like, "Are you insane? Like, what are you waiting for? Like, you can date anybody. Why are you waiting?" And I was like, "Because she's the one." And I don't know how I knew, but I knew. And 23 years later, here we are. And I even wrote a song about her called "I Just Knew."
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Because I knew. So I'm very lucky. But this has nothing to do with sports. Sorry,
That's okay.
went on my wife tangent.
120 happy years together.
Just like, but it was funny. And, you talk about rabbi. I'll tell you a funny story. We were going to, this was years ago, we were going to Rosh Hashanah service, and I was going to, it was in Jersey, actually, because my aunt used to live in Edgewater. And
right nearby.
And so we were going to Rosh Hashanah services, and the rabbi stops me, and he's like, "You're Italian. What do you, why?" And I went, "I'm not Italian." And I don't believe in organized religion anymore. And I, I didn't back then. And this was like probably 30 something years ago, maybe even a little longer. And he goes, "You're not Italian?" I was like, "No, my Hebrew name is Sarah." Oh. And he was like, "You're not a goyim." And I was like, "No, I'm not a goyim," and so it was really funny because, I was like, okay, I can't even get into temple anymore. And I really, I don't believe in organized religion anymore. I mean, for me, it's just been to see the way that it's not being used in the right way. And it's like more of I believe, a tool to control the masses with fear.
Oh, gosh. I have a very different experience that I could just extol the virtues of my Chabad house. Which is, it could be a complete other conversation, but I hear what you're saying, and I hear it often. And my experience in my Chabad and all the Chabads that I've had the opportunity to visit, which are a few, not a whole lot, but it's a very different way of approaching, I'd like to say, a faith, a belief system, a culture, a way of life. I have learned more in the last 17 years than I had in the prior 40. And it's all positive. Like, I had this very different mindset before I found the Chabad house. And I have drunk the Kool-Aid because I'm biased, but I think my rabbis are the best in the world. and their wives and the programming that they do, it's just far and away so beautiful. more than anything I had ever experienced previously.
Wow.
So I mean, I would get on my soapbox and say, I'm out there, I'm an ambassador saying, wait, give this a shot because it's so different. Like it's all about love and outreach and giving and circling. And so, I'm a one-woman show, but
No, I mean, and I get that. And for me, it was, I spent years trying to see what spoke to me. And it ended up being, becoming woo. I mean, I have my, crystals, and Judaism was founded on, mysticism. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I believe in all of the woo and the crystal work and the candle work because for whatever reason, that's what speaks to my soul. And when I look at, I know Judaism is a little bit different, but I had my friend's father was a rabbi, and he was so funny. And I remember he met Heather, and he was like, "Oh, she's lovely." And I said, "Would you marry us?" And he said, "No."
Oh, ouch.
And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "She's not Jewish." And I was like, "Huh." I thought it was because we were gay, and he was like, "No." He goes, "I don't give a shit that you're gay." He goes, "But she's not Jewish." And I was like, no kidding. So we ended up getting married by a reverend in New York, actually on Long Island. And it was funny because we were supposed to get married outside in this beautiful gazebo and blah, blah, blah. Well, it poured. Oh. It poured like nobody's business. So we had to get married in the reverend's office. And we got married in front of this waterfall wallpaper.
Oh, wow.
So
beautiful.
So the picture actually looks like, and then for our 10-year anniversary, we were in Hawaii, and we actually got a real picture in front of a real waterfall taken. So, but it was just like so funny. I was like, of course, this is going to happen to our wedding. But it makes for a great story, right? So it's like maybe that's why these things happen. So okay. So my ADHD just took us to a whole different land. So let's talk about you and what you do. So you have a book that's called The Big O, yes. Organizing, which I love that it's the Big O because there it is, organizing.
Yes. A little edgy on the title.
I love the title. I think the title is very clever. And so let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh, I'd have to say this is my fourth child. I have a boy, a girl, a business, and a book. But essentially, the reason I wrote the book is to codify what we do in the field. So I distilled it down into 7 steps that someone who can't necessarily afford a professional organizer could take on and do on their own. And what I've tried to do in the book is a lot of self-reflection, because each chapter has some questions and inner work that has to be done, because I firmly believe that if we do the inner work, the outer work will be a whole lot easier. Mm. So I talk about organizing to your core values. And there's an exercise about, like, here's a list of core values. You probably have never thought about them before. So there's a way to kind of funnel down to, like, this is the most important thing to me. And if we can decide on that, then deciding what we bring into our lives will be that much easier. Wow. With stuff or people or relationships or how we spend our money or how we spend our time. I've learned so much from being an organizer.
I'll bet you learn a lot about people's I guess you said core values, but really what's really important to them, because I think that part of the organization piece is being able to let go of things. And I remember when I was purging, because we talked about my wife, we're not going to get into that piece again, because you and I talked about this offline, but for me, I purged probably 90% of my things because they were from either other relationships or just things that I didn't need to hold on to. And then, I start thinking about when I die, who in the hell is going to want this? The kids aren't going to want, you know what I mean? It's like, if the kids aren't going to want it, and it's not something I can pass down, and it's going to be something that she would need to clean out, or whoever, right?
Yeah.
Like, get rid of it. If it's something of value, sell it. And if it's, and so for me, it became a no-brainer. I just started going through stuff, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. And just like threw, I can't even tell, boxes of stuff out. And then I got to this one particular box. It was some of my mom's stuff. And I think I still have it, because she passed in 98.
Oh boy.
And I was like, oh, I feel guilty. The Jewish guilt, right? I was like, I feel guilty if I throw this out. It was like and I still have it. It's one is when she was a candy striper at the hospital, her name tag. What the hell am I going to do with that? Like, what is anyone going to do with that thing, right? And then another was, she was into crafts. So it was this little craft box with all these little teeny fake bees and stuff. Again, what is somebody going to do, with these things? So I'm working on that, in my head, that, I have the memories. Why do I have to hang on to the thing? And then, was it you who said, take a picture of it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
We do advise that.
Yeah, which is like amazing, because it's like, just there's a picture. You don't have to have the thing with the box, and you just get rid of it, and nobody has to throw anything out, because it's done and it's there. So I think that was you. I thought that was brilliant.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, because yes, that is definitely a technique for maintaining, let's say, ownership of something without having to keep the actual item. Mm-hmm. And I will absolutely give permission. Like, it sounds to me like maybe you have two physical items that are memorabilia of your mom. And you are absolutely entitled to keep it, because, like, okay, to quote Marie Kondo, but we were saying this well before she came on the scene. If it brings you joy and it brings you happiness and you feel good every time you look at it and you feel close to your mom, it is so worth holding on to it. Maybe after you pass, somebody will use it. But in the meantime, it's like it's enhancing your life.
Yeah, it's not, though. It's in a box. It's like literally sitting in a box. So it's not like it's out. Yeah. And then I have like her pajamas. I have like one pair of her pajamas that were like, they were like an Asian theme. They were kind of, but I looked at them. I looked at them, I think, like about a month ago. And I'm like, I still have these? Like, I thought I got rid of them. Oh. And I was like, son of a bitch, I still have these. Now what? I was like, why didn't I? And then I start going through, why didn't I throw those out? Was there a reason I didn't throw them out?
Uh-huh.
So, yes. So yeah, and I have like another shirt that I wore the day that I wore it the day that she passed, and then when I scattered her ashes off of West Palm Beach Pier, the wind blew back on me.
Oh wow!
My friend's sister Amy was like, she said that was her final hug.
Yeah.
So I was a mess, right? So I had this shirt, and I think I still have it, because that one's weird. That has like this energy attached to it, and I'm like, ooh, what do I do with this? Like, if I throw it out, so I'm afraid to throw it out. Like, I'm literally like, I'm going, I'm going to keep it just in case.
The thought just came to me as you said that, like, okay, so if you have it and it's meaningful, and you don't know what to do with it, maybe that's something that you'd want to have buried with you.
Ooh, yeah, but I'm not going to be buried.
Okay, all right.
Bad Jew. I'll probably be cremated.
Oh, so maybe that would go with you.
Yeah, like I'll like wear it or something, or I don't know, have it like tucked on this. I don't know. We'll figure that piece out. But yeah,
long time from now.
Yeah, exactly. So when because organization to me has always been so interesting, because like I am like really disorganized in some areas, but like other areas I'm not. Like, my office is a mess, but my pantry, when it gets messy, I lose my mind. It's like breakfast stuff goes with breakfast stuff, the snack stuff goes with the snack stuff, and so to me it's a fascinating thing. So what got you started in organization? Because that's alone. I mean,
There's a long story and a short story. The short
We have time,
story, essentially, I hated being a CPA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, well, I had part of the short story is I had registered the name of my company 11 years before I actually started up my business. So as I was working as a CPA, I was getting much more unhappy. And I thought, all right, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What do I want to do when I grow up? So I turned to a former colleague and I said, listen, I don't really like this. What do you think? Like, what could I do? She's like, I know a professional organizer and you'd be really good at that. I'm like, oh, of course, that's exactly what I want to do. So I started it up. I registered the name of the company and I reached out to everybody I knew. So within 12 hours, I had a pro bono client, which was administrator of my synagogue. And then I started to network and did all kinds of other fun things, which now 22 years later, there's a whole lot of fun things.
Wow.
So,
And that was it. And so how did you market yourself? How did you get the word out about what you do?
Oh, well, that very first time I remember I was sitting in bed with my laptop and I reached out to like everyone I knew. I just said, email, hey, everybody, I'm starting a business and this is what I'm doing. And who do you know who? And then I put magnetic signs on my now ex-husband's car. So as he was driving around, people would see it and somebody saw it and invited me to a networking event and I joined that. It was a BNI. And so that happened. And then word of mouth happened and lots of other networking and a website and social media and forming a chapter of what now is called National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And then came for challenging disorganization. So, it kind of snowballed.
That's awesome. Because it's like I think of, I told you I was in BNI and we had, a woman in there who was an organizer and a lot of people used her because, who doesn't want to be organize my office, organize my home? Oh, wait, you organize my office. Holy crap. Yes, definitely come organize my home, right? It was like all of the things. And I don't think that people realize that there are professional organizers out there.
It's still a well-kept secret.
Yeah, and we need to do something about that. So, because I think that a lot of people get overwhelmed. I look at my wife, God bless her, and I will watch her just get overwhelmed because she just doesn't know what to throw out, where to start. I've seen other people. God, I have a friend of mine who I'll leave nameless, but she was throwing some stuff out and she was like almost paralyzed by it. Like I was like, can I help you with something? And she literally just froze. She was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And wow.
Yeah. Analysis paralysis. And overwhelm, So my understanding is sometimes, and my experience is sometimes there are so many neurons firing at one time and it's literally like the brain just shuts down because it's overload. And then it's all kind of related. So if someone, say, stops breathing because they're thinking so hard and they just can't make decisions anymore, so there's no oxygen going to the brain and then the brain function isn't working. And it's like the whole body is just numb and nothing works well. That's so... Just to think about that. Like I just... Man. So, and you said that there was like also a psychological piece to it. Oh, it's all about psychology. It's never the stuff. And when I first started, I was like amazed because I thought, all right, I'm going to go into somebody's playroom and I'm going to make it look nice and we'll put this over here and that over there. And I realized like, oh no, Gayle, you've got it all wrong. No, it's not about the stuff. It's never about the stuff. It's how you think and feel, and it's your core values and your memories and whose voice is in your head and what are you telling yourself and what are they telling you, and it's generational trauma, and it's brain-based challenges, like maybe your prefrontal cortex is not being stimulated enough, or maybe your amygdala is taking over. It's all about the brain. It is fascinating.
Wow. Like, explain some of that, because to me, that's just like, I'm like, I don't know. I have this box that, I'm going to throw out. It has not. So how does that affect that?
Well, okay. So what I often like to talk about is, because I'm a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization. So a lot of my training and my continuing ed has to be in brain-based challenges and how that affects people living with CD, chronic disorganization. And it's ongoing. So I always have to sharpen my skills. So executive functions they're done in the most highly evolved part of the brain, which is it's kind of behind your eyes. It's your prefrontal cortex. And it's like the outer edge of the brain, is my understanding. And that's where all of your highest level processing happens. And that's things like sequencing and categorizing and follow through and emotional control. And I actually have a lovely graphic about, luckily I just happened to find it. But I think this is so cool, basically because it's pretty and it gives a really good representation of what executive functions are. And some of these are just really, really hard for people, especially if they have an underdeveloped or underactive prefrontal cortex, which is where sometimes that shutting down happens.
So how does the prefrontal cortex play the part of it?
That's a great question. I'm glad you said that, because that part is like the orchestra conductor, so to speak. Okay. With all of the other things that your brain is doing, it's that part of the brain that takes it all into account and makes it harmonize.
Wow. So I'm trying to process this. So everything that happens here is basically controlling what happens back here.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Is that why they do lobotomies here? Because is that the thing, or?
Great question. I don't know, but that's a really good question.
I just wonder about that, because if that's where all of your stuff happens, is here, because like the first thing they do is like, oh, we're going to change the person and their personality, so we're going to do this, here.
Potentially.
But that's like a little morbid. Okay, so in order, this is like actually a good lead-in, I think. So a lot of people think that to be an entrepreneur, you have to be organized. And I'm laughing at that because, again, I'm one of the most disorganized people, or I should say, and I have ADHD. So what that does is, have you seen The Queen's Gambit?
Yes.
We had this conversation, right? So the way that, at night when she's laying down and all of the chess pieces are moving on the ceiling, right? So for me, when I am meeting with a client, right, I was assessed as a strategic listener. So when I'm meeting with a client, I'm listening to hear, because I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people listen to talk and go away. But I listen to hear. But as I'm listening and I'm hearing, I already know what they need. Like back here, like all the pieces are moving. It's like, oh, you need this, and this. And when I think of the entrepreneur piece, it's like and that's why I said it's weird, because I'm really organized in some ways. Like I can sit here and I can play Tetris, and I know what goes where, and I know how to move the pieces for, how to solve my client's problem. But my office is a freaking mess. So it's like, where is, how does that play? And then what advice would you have for somebody who is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, as far as the organizational piece and all that, or just in general?
Oh boy, I have lots of thoughts. So from an entrepreneur standpoint, I'm thinking, and this is one of my mantras: do what you do best and delegate the rest.
Yep.
Because if your talent is in aligning all of those pieces and figuring out like how the puzzle pieces fit together, then that's your zone of genius. And then there are other people who might be able to support you with their zones of genius for the things that you're like, I don't care about this. I'm not good at it. Just take care of it for me.
Yes. Which is good and, right?
Yes.
Because what I found was that I ended up handing too much stuff over because, I trust the person that, I handed it to. And also because she's so good at all of that stuff. It was like, here, do it. Do the thing, because I don't want to do the thing. However, I need to do the thing. Because A, you can hand off too much and put too much on somebody's plate and then overwhelm them, right? Yeah. And then B, as the business owner, it's like, I know every aspect of my business. Can I build a website? Yes. Do you want me to build a website? No. Because my developer can do it in, 4 to 6 weeks? I can do it in 4 to 6 months.
Makes
right.
sense.
So it's like, I know how the things work. SEO. Can I do SEO? 100%. Do I want to? No. Why? Because it is so freaking involved. And now it's not. And, my friend Annie was laughing today, but, it's like not just SEO, it's AIO, right? So, artificial intelligence optimization, and then, GEO, generative engine optimization, and SEO. And then I was like, EIEIO. It's like, there's just going to be like another, IO coming out. So it's not that it's not working anymore. It's that it's changed. And so you have to keep up with the changes, which I do.
Right.
But it's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. So I have somebody else do it, right? But I do know how to do all of the things that we offer. I just hope that I never get to the point that I have to, because people will be waiting a really long time for their stuff. Yeah. So, but you're right. It's like, I love that. Just, give the rest away, because I think you have to.
I think so too. In fact, I'm listening to a book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And it is, I think it's a wonderful business book. The part I just heard, because I'm listening to an audiobook, was like a 10-80-10 rule. That, like, as the CEO of your company, you can do the first 10%, like maybe that's the initiating of the project, have somebody else do the next 80%, then put your 10% spin on it at the end. So it's still your work, but you didn't have to do all of it. I thought, that's brilliant.
That is brilliant. And I think that's what I do. I think that the more I'm thinking about it, I think that's what I do. I have a client right now who is she's in the UK. She's in Europe. And, I have my person doing, we're doing a launch for a podcast. So, and actually by the time this thing comes out, she should be launched. But, it's like all of the pieces. And, in sitting here doing the launch, we have a launch expert on our team. And I look at the stuff and my brain just goes, it's like, I feel like my brain just leaks out of my ears. It's like, oh my God, yeah, I get it. I know how to do it, but I would never want to do it because there's so much planning. And I think at the end of the day, that's it too. There are so many steps that people don't think about with a launch, with, SEO, with building a website, with even as simple as writing social media. It's not that simple.
That's for sure.
Because
And
you have to figure out, right, who your audience is, where are they hanging out, what is it that they need to hear. You don't want to talk at them,
right.
right? So it's like, what voice there are just so many. I'm still fascinated by everything because there are just so many steps to everything.
And with ADHD, especially if there are too many steps for a brain that has ADHD, that particular thing is probably not going to happen. And for my world, sometimes it's, say, a child or an adult with ADHD, hanging up a coat takes a lot of steps. So forget about it. Don't use a hanger. Just put it on a hook. One step, trying to find like the most simple solution is often the best, because the one they will use is the one that will work.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I just got, because now I'm doing public speaking, and, blue is my color, and, like leather is pretty much my material. I got this blue leather blazer, and it came in, and I tried it on, and it looked really, really good. And I laid it on the dining room table, and and Heather's like, hang it up. And I was like, I will. And she's like, no. Don't leave that on the, and we're both guilty. Like, she'll leave boxes and stuff on the table, and I just throw my clothes anywhere. Like, literally, like if, I had the podcast, so I took my t-shirt off, I put my shirt on, my t-shirt's sitting right there. And she's going to come home and be like, throw it in the laundry.
That's another
right?
thing that's
It's
hard
just
for
like
an
this.
ADHD brain.
What?
That's another thing that's hard for an ADHD brain, is the follow through.
Yes.
You can go steps 1 to 4, but there is nothing getting you to step 5 without some kind of a bridge.
Unless it's business related. Business related, I'm all there. It's just like so, and that's why it's like I'm so freaking organized, and I know all of the steps when it comes to my business. No problem. I know exactly how to get from step 1 to step 10 by going through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm good there. But literally, wow. So this morning I got up, and of course, there's a note on like a little, Post-it on the side right by my jacket, hang it up. So I was like, okay. So I grabbed a hanger, and I put put on the hanger, and I hung it up. And then, but it's like, why is that? It's like, seriously? It takes 2 freaking minutes to do that.
Well, there's also, I think there's an importance. What might be important to you is not important to somebody else, and what's important to somebody else may not be important to you. And sometimes things just blend into the woodwork or the table, and we don't even see it. Every brain is so unique that it's just like finding out what works for the individual is key.
And it's so funny because I'll look at it and I'll be like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And I know her priority. I know it's going to drive her nuts, and I'll be like, "Ooh, she's going to kill me." I'll be like, "Okay, she'll be home at 6. I'm good. I'll get it before 6." And then I don't.
Oh,
yeah, I know. And then it's like, for real. I'm like, yeah, I know. Sorry.
There's actually, I have a book that I really do want to read, but I did write an article, similar concept, like how clutter affects your sex life. And it's deeper than just the stuff. Because in a couple that I based my article on, it was all about respect. Like, he would walk in and go, "What do you mean you still haven't put your shoes away? I can't even open the door." And she would be like, "But don't you love me? Can't you have patience?"
Oh, no.
But they're speaking 2 totally different languages.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I never would have looked at that way. So when you're doing like you meet a client, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so disorganized. I need help with this, and this." Like, how do you assess what they need?
Oh, lots of listening. Sometimes they say and sometimes they don't. So it could be in the tone of their voice. It could be in their facial expression, which is why I prefer to do an assessment either in person or over a video if possible. And the more somebody will talk, the more they get into like, okay, so where's the emotional pain? Bless you. Like what's really at the heart? Like in the first chapter of my book, I asked like, what's your big why? And more often than not, it's not just I want to be organized because I want to be organized. It's I want to be organized because it's driving my spouse crazy, or my parents are moving in, or my kids are coming back from college, or I have to put whatever it is. There's always a why that is, there's a driving force behind the task.
Yeah. And I mean, I could see somebody new moving in or something like that, but what if it's more of a, so like for me, I feel better when my place is organized. So we have a cleaning lady, and I cannot tell you how many times I'm like, okay, I told you this, I had the bookshelf, then I got rid of the bookshelf and I bought like a china cabinet for the thing. And anyway, and so I was like, okay, we were on vacation. I didn't want to come home to a mess. So I said, just take everything. Now my cleaning lady she's organized, but she's not. How can I explain this? She knows how to clean things and make things go away, but she's not really good at labeling stuff.
Okay.
So you don't know where anything is. So I said, okay, I know the office is a shithole. So just, put everything in boxes, put everything like little crates or whatever. Wow. And then I'm driving and I was like, oh, wait a minute. So I called her back and I was like, okay, when you do that, put a little note on it that says what's in there, so that when I get home, I can go through it. And which of course that's like 3 weeks ago. I still haven't gone through it, and it's probably worse now, but she's going to be here next Friday. And then next Friday, we're going to go through the stuff together. And with her, I literally go, okay, throw it out, put that over there, throw that out, throw that out. I can't do that myself. For whatever reason, I cannot do it myself. It's just the weirdest thing.
Well, what she's doing is what we call body doubling. She's holding space for you so that you can do what you need to do. And it's part of social organizing.
Oh.
Sometimes it's lonely doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and for me, it's also my back. Like I can't just like bend over and like, do stuff the way that I used to, but that's really interesting. Body doubling. I hope you all are like taking notes on this, because this is just blowing my mind, because I'm sitting here going, I mean, when we first talked, I was so fascinated because it's like, there's just so much to it that it's not just like going, oh, I'm going to throw this thing out. It's like, oh, I can't throw this thing out.
Yeah, there's the paralysis, as we said. And also having somebody there with you, there's an accountability piece. And we say the body double is an anchor and a mirror, because she's holding that space for you and keeping you grounded, and then reflecting back to you whatever it is that she's able to reflect back. Like, we ask all kinds of questions. Do you need it? Do you love it? Does it fit? Yada, yada. So, and I am constantly learning, book learning and seminar learning, but my clients also teach me, and it all gets integrated.
That's so interesting. My friend Sandy used to, when we were in our old house, we had a room that we called the basement because all the shit went in there. And she was visiting, and I said to her, okay, what would you charge me to help me clean this room? And so she gave me a price, and I was like, okay. And so we just let her start. And then all of a sudden there's this pile of garbage, and we're like, wait, no, we can't throw that out. And she's like, have you used it in the last 5 years? I'm like, no, but that's not the point. She's like, garbage, like Sandy's like, she's like the general. She doesn't mess around with that stuff. And unfortunately she can't get back here right now because she's just so tied down. She has a childcare business. So, which is Speaking of organized, but she is seriously probably the most organized person I know. Like she will, downsize and get rid of this stuff, and she will label everything. And she, she's my dream. I was like, oh my God. But okay, so what advice do you have for somebody out there who is listening? Of course, I'm going to say contact you, but if they're listening and they're like, right now they're struggling with this, how could you kind of guide them? Because,
Struggling with initiating a task, I will ask to start because sometimes that's the hardest part. And that's often my biggest bit of advice is if you don't know where to start, I will say it doesn't really matter as long as you do start. Because even if you do one tiny thing, and you were talking about the energy and the crystals and all of that stuff, well, everything has energy in it, as I'm sure you know. So even if we move one small thing, like literally like pick it up, look at it, evaluate it, decide what to do with it, you're already starting to move around that energy. And it will snowball. So you might start with one item, which will then lead to a drawer, a shelf, like one corner of a desk or whatever it is. Because sometimes that hardest part is just the initiating of the task. So whatever it takes to do that, like maybe having a body double, like making an appointment with yourself or a friend or, someone who can really support you and stay there non-judgmentally to get over the hurdle, then it becomes easier, like a muscle that you exercise over time, gets stronger.
Interesting. So what do you do if, not that I know anybody who does this. So what happens when you're like, okay, the desk is clean. And then all of a sudden in like 3 days, it's not, there's more stuff on it.
It's okay. It's okay. Because if you have gone through not the right process, but if you've gone through the process of making decisions on your items and creating a system that works for the way your brain works, like even if there's stuff piled up all over the place, if okay, so like podcast stuff goes over here and financial stuff goes over here and like personal stuff is over here or whatever it is. It might look like a disaster to someone else, but it makes sense to your brain. That in itself is organized. So even if it becomes like disorganized, so to speak, and things get messed up, then you have gone through the process of categorizing and establishing the commonalities so that you know where to put things back if they do get mixed up.
Interesting. So yeah, I don't do that. I just like end up throwing so like all my like my phones and everything are over here with the little remote to my little walking pad and all this other stuff. So I did this last night because I have like crystals everywhere. But the funny thing was, so I started doing all this, and then I was like, okay, and I have this really cool organizational tool called Practico. And it should be one of my sponsors for real. So it's like this, awesome. It's this metal, powder coated, whatever, steel, like it's about this wide and about 2.5 feet tall, maybe 3. Yeah, something like that. And it's got drawers, right? Uh-huh. And it's about, what is that? Like a foot, 18 inches deep. So it has these drawers, right? And so on this side, I have one. And then I was like, I have all this other crap though. So I just ordered another one last night. Because it has the drawers and it has like all the stuff on it and I can put stuff in it. But then I emptied that bookshelf. I have that new cabinet thing that still needs to be filled with stuff. And I emptied everything else out. So all of my other drawers, like over here, are empty. So I need to fill them with stuff. But it's like, I don't want to just like fill them with stuff, right? I want to, it's like, I'm trying to like make it make sense. So I haven't done anything. And so, so my goal this weekend is to seriously sit down and go, okay, this is going to be for this. This is going to be for this, because it's just, it's stressful. Like this is stressful. It really is.
So many thoughts there. First thought is, okay, so it's okay for you to have things out of sight and you still know that they're there, or you know that they are still there. Okay, many people don't like that because if it's opaque or there's something sitting on top of it, that's the only thing that exists. And if it's opaque, you can't see behind it, so it doesn't exist. So knowing that you can put things away that way is really huge. Because some people like to see things, and that's why clutter happens. Just for some people, like if it's out of sight, it's excuse me, out of sight as out of mind. And my also thought is, what if you didn't fill those drawers, or had filled the shelves in the empty bookshelf, or like what if it just you took those items out of the office and maybe repurposed them somewhere else?
I know, that's a really good question. I don't know. I have to look through all the things and figure that out. Like I'm looking, and I feel like saying, "Welcome to my hour therapy session, folks," because it's like so funny to me that we're sitting here talking about all this, and so much of this like relates to me. It's a little scary.
May I also indicate to you that you're being intentional, and that is a wonderful quality. Because if you're saying to yourself, I'm going to set aside time to decide, that's huge. Cool. Decide is a big step.
Yeah. And to make the time, because time is so rare these days. I mean, you try getting on my calendar, you see how it is. And I'm extremely grateful. Like every time I say that, I'm like, I am so grateful. Do not change that. Because I love that, I have all of these things. And at the same time, I need to make time to be able to, do these things. And I kind of feel like, at my age, it's like, oh my God, you just do the thing already, right? Because I feel like, I had a very disorganized, disjointed childhood, whatever. And as an adult, I'm like, come on, this should not be this hard. So.
Well, I will also advocate giving oneself grace, because I can relate to what you're saying as an entrepreneur, because we're constantly, we're racing, and like, okay, I need to get the next client, I need to book my calendar, I need to do this, I need to do that, and it's like, okay, and I can only speak for myself, but this year I have found like I had this wonderful project which helped me have a little bit of a cushion so that I can free up my time to do the strategic stuff. And it feels weird. And I look at my calendar and go, oh my God, there isn't a client on it right now. Like, not the entire calendar, but like, but then it's like, okay, Gayle, take a step back. You know what? This is the time that you have asked for to do the big stuff so that you can take a gigantic leap. So allowing ourselves that flexibility and self-forgiveness is very hard.
No,
necessary.
I get that 100%. I have a client who she's going to be starting with me in 2 weeks 2 weeks. And we've been talking since last year.
There you go.
And, she had to figure stuff out. And for me, it's never, and I think this, it's not transactional for me. It's about the relationship. And every time we would talk, she'd be like, I'm going to do it. And I was like, don't stop. Just stop. I know. We're talking now as friends. We're talking now as I don't care about, that's not on the top. Yeah, but it's on my mind and I'm like, you're stressing yourself out.
Yeah.
You do the things that you can do in the time that you could do them. I'm not going anywhere, God willing, right? So I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do. and she did the thing, and she, went through this course, and she did, some other stuff. And she, called me, and she's like, okay, I'm ready. And I was like, are you sure? Because I also don't want people to do things because they feel that, well, enough time went by, and so I need to do this thing. It's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And she was like 100%. So I said, okay. And so, we're going to, and I said, let's talk in 2 weeks so you can really think about it and know, for sure. And people are like, why do you do that? You're almost talking them out of it. And I'm like, no, I'm giving them the grace that they need and the time that they need to really know that they're okay with it, because it's not a small investment. Yeah. I mean, it's not, right? And if you're going to make that investment, you need to make sure that you're ready for it. Financially, you're ready for it. And it's going to take work on your part, so, and I'm grateful that I have that patient. Like I always say that I run a heart-centered business, because I do. And again, I have like fellow, entrepreneurs that are like, you're literally saying, don't do business with me. And I'm like, no, I'm literally telling them to take their time, because I don't ever want anyone to be over their head, because it puts them in such an awkward, crappy position that, I mean, I see people pushing people going, oh, you should do this thing now. You should do this thing now. And it's like, no, my God, if they can't really afford it, where do they get? Yeah, you could take payments, but what if 1 month they can't make that payment and you're expecting that payment? Now they're in a really bad position. So I want to make sure that, the people know that, they're in the right spot.
Definitely.
They're being held, and, do the thing when you're ready, not when you're not ready.
And from the opposite perspective, it's like there's a person on the other side of the transaction. So if I know I'm putting it like on myself, like if I feel like crap, someone is making me feel like crap, I'm not going to do business with them.
No.
But if they're compassionate and understanding and allow me the space to decide and digest and really think about and make an informed decision, like there's a whole lot of consideration there that first builds a lot of loyalty, but it makes you feel good. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want someone like to say to me, and as a business owner, it's the same thing. I could say, hire me because that's the right thing to do. But what if I'm not the right fit for them? Yep. It doesn't feel good for them. It feels slimy. And I don't want someone to be slimed on me, No. I really understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's super important. And it was funny because I knew somebody who would, I walk into a business and I always look at, what are you doing right? Let's look at the things that you're doing right. And then we don't have to worry about those because you're doing a great job on that. So you're good for you. That's awesome. Let's move on to the next thing. That's okay. Beautiful. Here, maybe you need a little help, right? But that's okay. You're still doing a good job here. It could be tweaked a little. Here is probably why you called me. And that's okay, because that's, my zone of genius. And so rather than making somebody feel bad, and why would you want to make somebody feel bad, right? I mean, to me, it's like, and I've seen people walk into businesses going, what the hell were you thinking when you did this? And I'm like, why would you say that?
No.
Why would you say that? Because they want to position themselves as a subject matter expert, but they're also doing it from a place of, I'm better than you. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm in the same position you are. There are some things that I'm really good at, and there are some things that I really suck at. And the things that I really suck at, I get help for.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. But you don't make people feel bad. Like, you're not going to walk into somebody's house and be like, holy crap, I've never seen anything this disorganized in my life. I mean, you may think that, but you're not going to come out and say it, right?
Not a chance. And people will say that. They'll ask, like, is this the worst you've ever seen? I'm like, no, not by a long shot. Believe me. Trust me on that. I have
flat
seen
cats.
a
No,
lot.
I'm kidding.
Did you say dead cats?
I said flat cats. Remember we were talking about hoarders, which is
Oh yeah, right. I've seen the roaches and the dead squirrel in the basement and the crickets and the spider cricket thingies and the
Oh
mice.
God.
I have seen it all. So when
Do
someone
you
says
like wear hazmat suits and shit when you go somewhere, or?
times like I haven't done the booties and bouffant. Well, I've done booties, but not bouffant yet, or that full hazmat suit. But I do have one in case I need it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another podcast. We're going to talk about that because we are over an hour. Oh, look at this. This goes so fast. I know you and I. It's funny. Like my last few guests I've known, and like we could just keep talking forever. Um, so
I
how do
love it.
people find you?
The easiest way is on the website, which is lgorganized.com.
Okay, and okay, so folks, if you need organizational help, go to lgorganized.com. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me and my my audience. My
Always,
brain just stopped working.
always a
This has
pleasure.
been
So,
really cool. I feel like this has been like an hour therapy session. So everybody, thank you so much for hanging out for my therapy. I didn't expect that to happen. The last question that I ask all of my guests is, what lights your fire?
oh, a whole bunch of things. Well, from a professional standpoint, I love it when my client is happy with the outcome. And even if the outcome is not necessarily what I would have expected, as long as they're happy, that's the important thing. From a personal side, the things that light my fire certainly are my kids. I have 20 somethings, and I am an avid swing dancer. I am learning to Lindy Hop in Charleston, and to me, dancing is like the best thing in the world.
That is amazing. I want to see video. That is awesome.
It's on my website.
Oh, okay. I have to check your website. We have two friends that do that. Oh shit, Jerry and Elise. And I mean they're good. Like I never was like, holy crap, never knew you did that. So that is so awesome. All right, so now you have another reason to go to her website and go check out her dancing.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Hang on one second. I'm going to say goodbye and I will be right back.
Very good.
Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out an hour plus and being part of my therapy session today. I did not expect that to happen, but the organizational thing to me is just like so fascinating. But anyway, I hope that you found Gayle as amazing as I do. Please, again, click like, share, subscribe. Leave a review of the episode. If there was any golden nuggets that you gleaned from this, let us know in the comments. I can't imagine that you didn't glean anything from today because I'm like walking away with like this giant to-do list. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially for hanging out, more than an hour because these all go over an hour. Can't help myself. But without you, I don't get to do this. And the fact that I get to do this is, again, I say it all the time, it's my passion project. So thank you. And until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.